When the internet began, bulletin board services, or BBS, became the first online communities of the so-called information superhighway. Using their phone lines, people logged in from all over America to talk about sports, games, movies, and on one BBS in particular, share their ghost stories. Over time, those communities all went dark, except for one lone server that continues to operate somewhere in an unknown part of Pennsylvania's Rust Belt. A relic of the 1990s, veiled in mystery, it is a digital archive of humanity's strangest encounters with the unknown, as told by the people who experienced them. My name is Brandon Schexnayder, and you are listening to Fear Daily.
Subject: no ticket required. User: Travisa V1. Posted May 23, 1997.
I was somewhere outside Yazoo City when I found the flyer, tucked under my wiper blade, right there on the windshield of my overheating '89 Civic. It was hot as hell that afternoon, the kind of thick, late summer heat that makes your socks feel wet before you've even started sweating. I'd stopped for gas at this dusty little station, barely had a roof, one broken pump, a Coke machine, and a payphone with the receiver hanging limp. The guy inside wouldn't make eye contact, just sold me a pack of Camels and told me the bathroom was out of order. The flyer, it was neon green, real loud, and all caps in that old-timey circus font. One night only, the big top spectacle, no ticket required, don't miss the show, follow the lights. I figured it was some no-name carnival. Maybe a few rusty rides and a two-headed goat in a cage. I didn't have anywhere to be and nothing waiting on me back home except a busted AC unit and another job interview I probably wasn't getting. So I said screw it. Tossed the flyer on the passenger seat and started driving east like it told me. About 20 minutes later, I saw the lights. Not regular lights. These weren't bulbs or spotlights. They looked like columns of color. Thin beams stretching up into the clouds like searchlights at a movie premiere, but with no source. Just rising up from the woods behind a line of black pines. Red, green, blue, flickering like fire. There wasn't a proper road, just a gravel trail and a hand-painted sign in the mud. Showtime, dusk. I pulled in and killed the engine. The sun was dipping low, and everything had that soft pink haze that comes just before dark. I could hear music, but it was off. Broken, like a carousel tune played underwater. It pulled me in. No ticket booth, no people, just a striped canvas tunnel flapping in a wind I couldn't feel. Inside, the place opened up into what looked like a full fairground. Ferris wheel spinning slow, empty chairs creaking, popcorn stand lit up like someone was behind it, only there wasn't. The sign read, "Fortune told, no refunds," and swayed on its hinges. Everything shimmered, like it wasn't quite real. Like my eyes were trying to blink it into focus, but couldn't. And then I saw him. A clown. No balloon animals, no rainbow wig, just black suit, bowler hat, and grease paint so white it looked like paper. His mouth was painted in a crooked grin that stretched too far, and his eyes were two globs of motor oil. He tipped his hat to me and pointed to the main tent, but didn't say a word. I stepped inside. The big top was massive, felt bigger on the inside than it looked from the field. Rows of benches circled a fog-covered center ring. I took a seat near the edge and tried to take it in. The air smelled like burnt sugar and mildew. And that's when I noticed the people. They were sitting perfectly still, every seat filled, every face expressionless, not watching the show, just staring ahead. Their hands in their laps like dolls, their eyes all just a little too wide. The lights dimmed, the fog thickened, and out of it came a woman in a gold dress. She didn't walk, she glided. Bare feet skimming the sawdust like she was skating across water. She started to sing a low, strange lullaby in a language I ain't never heard. Each word scratched at the inside of my skull like something trying to get out, and then she split right down the middle. Ripped apart like a paper doll, and inside her was a man in a pig mask, laughing with a mouthful of teeth that didn't match. I stood up fast, tried to run, but the tent flap behind me, gone. I turned to the aisle, figured I'd cut across, duck out. Only thing was, no matter where I stepped, I kept ending up at the same spot, same bench, same view of the ring, and now the audience was changing. Every time I blinked, they looked different. New faces, but closer. I swear one of them was my reflection, and then one turned to me, eyes on the side of his head like a hammerhead shark. He smiled with big yellow teeth and said, "We're glad you came back." Back? I didn't answer. Just ran. I ripped through the tent curtain, and it didn't open to the outside. It opened into a hall of mirrors. The glass was foggy, warped, cheap plywood frames, but the reflections inside, they were not mine, not really. I saw versions of myself. One had a wedding ring, one had no eyes, one was smiling with blood running down his chest like he'd been stabbed, and he didn't seem to mind. Behind me, the music twisted into something fast and shrill. That calliope tune sped up and started breaking apart, and then the clown was back, floating, not walking. "Show ain't over," he said. I don't know how long I ran after that, but it felt like hours, maybe even days. I passed a tent filled with doors, and each one opened into another version of the circus. One had snow falling, one smelled like rot, one showed my car outside with the engine running. I dove through that one. I landed in the field, on my knees and alone. The lights were gone, the music was gone. My car was exactly where I'd left it, covered in dew like it had been sitting there all night. I got in, turned the key, and the radio was dead air. I didn't stop driving until I saw a gas station with working lights and a clerk who looked me in the eye. That was 3 weeks ago. I haven't slept more than a couple hours at a time since. I keep hearing the music in my dreams, waking up to the smell of caramel and blood. One morning, I found a ticket stub in my front pocket with my name printed on it. And then, yesterday, I found another flyer. Same neon green, same circus font, but this time it had something extra, scrawled in red at the bottom in a handwriting that looked an awful lot like mine. "Welcome back, Travis. You're on next."
Subject, Delta Field. User, Field 22 Man. Posted August 25, 1999.
I found my boy face down in the cotton, blood soaking through his pant leg and dirt packed in his mouth like someone tried to shut him up permanent. His leg was bent sideways and he was still breathing, barely, but his eyes were rolling and he kept mumbling something I couldn't understand. It was just past sundown and the sky over the delta looked like someone spilled motor oil across it. I'd only sent Eli out to check the scarecrows. Wind had come in earlier that afternoon and knocked a few of them sideways. Nothing unusual. That field's been our bread for 3 generations, and nothing out there ever felt dangerous before. But this wasn't no coyote. I carried him in myself, hollering for help while he bled all over my arms. Took 15 minutes for the neighbor to answer his radio and drive over. By the time we got to the hospital in Charleston, Eli was out cold. The doc said it looked like a wild animal attack, big claws, deep lacerations, a possible concussion. Told me he was lucky he didn't bleed out in the rows. That's when the scratching started. First night, I heard it up on the roof. Light at first, like nails tapping tin, then on the walls, moving, pacing. I sat there on the porch with my shotgun and a bottle of Evan Williams, thinking maybe I was drunk or tired or just hearing things I didn't want to remember. Next morning, I found Charlie, our dog, dead on the back step, laid out stiff, belly up with his throat torn clean out and bits of white fluff stuck to his fur. Cotton. A day later, I found a deer propped up in the outer rows of the field like some goddamn warning. Spine snapped, ribs peeled open. Its mouth was stuffed full of fresh-picked cotton, still wet from the stem. No blood trail, no prints in the dirt. I called the sheriff's office, and they sent a deputy out, a kid who looked like he'd just finished algebra homework. Said it was probably coyotes, maybe a bobcat. Told me to keep the animals penned up and let him know if I saw anything else unusual. I didn't bother arguing. You work land like this long enough, you'll learn to recognize when something's wrong, and this wasn't wild animal wrong. This was bad dirt kind of wrong. That night, I sat up again. But this time, I heard it inside the barn, a soft, steady scrape, like claws digging across wood beams. I stepped out with my light and caught just a flicker of movement near the cotton gin before the beam cut out. So I went looking. The gin's old, hasn't run in years, just sits at the edge of the field, half collapsing into itself. Smells like rot and grease and old insulation. I hadn't been in there in months, but that night, I opened the door and nearly puked. The smell hit first, wet fur and sour meat. Something sweet underneath it, like syrup that's gone bad. Inside, the cotton was pulled into mounds, not bales, nests, hollowed in the middle, streaked with blood and animal hair and chewed bones, and there on the far wall, a streak of handprints. Long, dragged down, 4 fingers, no thumb. I nailed the door shut. Told myself it was over. I was wrong. That scratching came back, louder, bolder, on the walls, in the attic, under the floorboards. Once I heard it just behind the drywall, slow, deliberate, like it wanted me to know it was in there with me. The chewing came next. chewing like paper being torn, wet and rhythmic. Night after night, I stopped sleeping, just sat in the living room with the lights off and the shotgun across my lap, and then I saw it. It was just before dawn. I was standing at the kitchen sink when I saw something move by the edge of the field. Thought it was a coyote at first, and then it stood up, pale and long, rat-shaped but wrong, too big, slender through the waist but hunched at the shoulders, its spine twisting like a broken coat hanger. Its fur was the same color as the cotton, off-white and matted with patches rubbed raw to the meat, eyes like boiled pearls, no shine, no blink, and its mouth, Jesus. Its mouth opened sideways. There were 3 rows of teeth, all chattering, not biting, laughing. I shot at it through the window. It dropped and disappeared into the cotton like it never existed. That day, I sent Eli to stay with his aunt in Granada. Told her it was coyotes. Told her I just needed to set some traps. She believed me. She always thought I was paranoid anyway. But that night, I got ready. I boarded the gin shut except for one opening in the back. I laid a trail, blood, scraps of meat, tufts of cotton. I set the shotgun by the door and kept a road flare and a jug of diesel close by. I didn't plan to survive the night. I just wanted to end it. Came at 3:17 a.m. I heard it sniffing along the floorboards, and then the door creaked, and there it was, crawling in low, dragging its claws along the concrete like it wanted to make sure I heard it coming. It was bigger now, thicker, its eyes bulged like grapes about to burst, and its back leg twitched like it was growing another one. Its whole body pulsed like something was inside it. I fired once, hit it center mass. It screamed loud and high and shrill enough to split wood. It came at me, mouth open, teeth flailing like loose nails. I shot again, missed. It slammed into me, and we went down in a heap. I grabbed the claw hammer and swung until the handle cracked in 2. It bit at me with that sideways mouth, but I jammed the flare between its teeth and lit it. The thing caught fast. Its skin blistered, then peeled. The cotton nests caught next. Diesel soaked everything. The fire spread up the walls like it wanted to burn. The thing didn't die easy. No, it screamed and thrashed and burst, like something inside it had been waiting for permission to come out, and from the guts spilled something smaller, pale, screeching like a piglet. It scurried into the pile of cotton and vanished in the flames before I could stop it. I barely made it out, but I did.
Fear Daily is an independent podcast hosted by Brandon Schexnayder and written by Brennan Storr, with Joanna Smith serving as the consulting editor, audio production by Rachel Boyd, and sound design by Southern Gothic Media. This podcast is a work of fiction. Names, characters, places, and incidents are either products of the author's imagination or are used fictitiously. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or to real events or locations, is entirely coincidental. Ad-free versions of Fear Daily are available now on your favorite podcast apps. For more information, visit feardaily.com. But move fast, before the server goes offline.